Donna Allen, second by Roger Spencer, to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. The consent agenda is approved. Before I move on to public forum, I guess we have some guests in the house, it looks like, that we don't normally have. Anyone like to identify or talk? Tell us who you all are. Do you have a spokesperson?
It's your turn.
You ask for one, you get 3.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great.
Hi, I'm Addison Botso from Carl Junction, Troop 70341, and we would like to present a recycling project.
Okay. You want to do that? Yeah, you can do it now. Instead of public forum? Sure. You want to talk about it?
Go ahead. Tell them who you are.
Hi, I'm Anna Hammond, and we sent you guys a letter, and we have extra copies of the letter, and if you guys don't have one,
I don't remember the letter.
That would be the thing the city clerk forgot to print.
Forgot to print. You guys can blame her.
We forgive you, blame her. Yeah. Someplace.
Oh, I think this is an excellent idea. I love this.
Well, as long as Mr. Tully didn't have a problem with it, I don't.
Go to Europe to the next.
We have room? Steve? Oh, he haven't read it either.
No problem. There's room back there. Nice idea.
A lot of people have brought that up, so.
In fact, we've increased the number of cardboard and paper ones back there. I think we're at 4 now.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it.
Would anybody like to speak about the project?
so we've been these are our numbers from September 23rd last year. In total, from then to now, we've picked up around 413 pounds of tin cans just in Carl, and 281 pounds of aluminum cans in Carl.
And tell them like some of the
We picked them up at the bridge on Dolphin Street, and then the
entrance to
in the entrance to Brybrook off of Joplin Street.
There's some.
Yeah. What would you suggest, Mr. Tully? Do we need just a vote on it?
If I think that would be the way to agree to it, right, Mayor?
Okay.
I'm not aware of anything that would prohibit this use of the facility.
Okay.
Steve, are you aware of anything?
I don't think so either. I mean, you guys will just have to check it probably once a week or something like that.
Our grand plan was to pick them or check on it once a week to make sure it's actually going well, and then to promote it, we have flyers that we plan on posting around the city, like CJ's and Cambrinos and the gym and all that, and make it useful. So
We could put that on Facebook and on the city's website.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'll take some of it at the church.
And I'm sure we can get it in the newspaper for
yep.
Oh, shut up.
Yep.
we're also when we collect the cans, we'll use the cans to save money because in 2026 we plan on going to Europe, so that money will help us go to Europe.
What are you gonna do in Europe, do you know?
We plan on going to France, Rome, Venus, London, Venice, and one more place I can't think
Could you go to
Nice
Germany?
trip.
I think I'll stow away with them.
Yeah. We'll let you out. You can go.
Well, I think I'd like to, I want to make a
Yeah,
motion.
I make a motion that we approve their plan for their recycling and
Second.
Motion by Donna Allen, second by Rick Flynn to approve the recycling plan by Girl Scout Troop 70341. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. Go for it.
And
Great
thank-
idea. Thank you very much.
And thank you for getting out and cleaning up those areas too. That means a lot.
Well, next I'll go to public forum now. Would anyone like to speak at public forum? Last call for public forum. Very well, then we'll move on. Next is a P and Z case, 2301, amending chapter 405 zoning regulations and chapter 610 miscellaneous building regulations. Is this a public hearing?
Yes, the ordinance is under item 8 on your agenda.
Okay.
This is just the public hearing on it.
I'll open up the public hearing then and ask for anyone who'd like to speak in favor of changing these regulations, amending these regulations.
P and Z already met on this and they are recommending approval.
And how you're amending them, just so people know.
This puts in place regulations for planning and zoning and business regulations. If somebody ever opens up a marijuana dispensary, manufacturing of goods, or a grow facility, that type of thing, lays out where they can do that business, the limitations on it. They have to be so far away from schools, daycares, churches, that type of thing, and it gives them the category that the property has to be zoned in before they can do anything like that.
Anyone else want to speak in favor of this? Very well, then. Anyone like to speak against this? Very well, then I'll close the public hearing on this P and Z case. And we'll move on. We'll get an ordinance on it later on. Next is approval of bids for building repairs.
In your memo, there's several building repairs that I've gotten bids on lately. Public Works front door, we only received one bid from Commercial Glass for $5,129. For the repair and replacement of the exterior doors at the police department, one bid from Midwest Doors and Interiors, $14,168.75. On the gym light replacement, we received 4 bids. Low bid being LED lighting and supply, $7,461.20. We are recommending Commercial Glass, Midwest Door, LED lighting and supply for those repairs.
Any discussion?
Funds for Public Works has funds in their building maintenance already. The other 2 will come from ARPA funds.
Okay.
I move we approve the bids for commercial glass, Midwest Store, and LED lighting as recommended by the city administrator for building repairs.
Second.
Motion led by Donna Allen, second by Holly Devine, to approve the bids submitted by the city administrator for building repairs. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. Go for it.
And I'll have more for you in repairs and equipment, small equipment purchases
I'm
next week.
sure you will. Next are ordinances. First is an ordinance amending chapter 205, animal regulations.
Move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Roger Spencer, to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title II, Public Health, Safety, and Welfare, Chapter 205, Animal Regulations, Article 1, General Provisions, by amending Section 205.130, Redemption of Animals generally, to clarify redemption procedures.
Discussion?
This was brought to me from the animal control officer and the chief. It clarifies and changes our existing code. Tries to take out any gray area in there that, like the Humane Society, redemption of animals from the Humane Society, they have to pay those fees to us, before they can get the animal. And then the changed the redemption of licensed and unlicensed animals, so that it's just more clearly spelled out.
We met on the code nuisance and we recommend approval.
Any other discussion?
Make a motion, we put it on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Don Allen, to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title II, Public Health, Safety, and Welfare, Chapter 205, Animal Regulations, Article 1, General Provisions, by amending Section 205.130, Redemption of Animals generally, to clarify redemption procedures.
Any further discussion?
Move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn. We put this ordinance on final passage. It's a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically.
Okay, I meant, yes, is that what?
Yeah, you did. Six yeses with 2 absent.
That's big.
And that would be
I can't
ordinance
see my hands.
2304.
2304. Very good. Next is ordinance amending chapter 605, business and occupation tax.
I move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Jim Gozi, to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Carl Junction, Missouri by amending Title VI, Business and Occupation, Chapter 605, Business and Occupation Tax by amending Section 605.080, Schedule of License Fees and Classification of Occupations.
Discussion?
This one probably hadn't been adjusted or amended in years. So I went through and combined a lot of things. Like we used to have 3 different categories for automotive sales, automotive repair, and auto body. And they were all the same price. We had 3 different categories for barbershop, salon, or a day spa, and they were all the same price. So tried to combine some of them that if they were in that like category. It also added a couple of them. The most visible is the internet service providers, companies that come into town. They have to have a business license. That's an addition. And we also added bed and breakfast, short-term rental, VRBO, and Airbnb facilities. And it also, does this have the, nope, that's in the next one, excuse me. So that was most of it. Combining like categories, and we didn't really change any fees or anything like that. I checked before I changed any fees, I checked with Web City to see what they were doing. And their fees are pretty much what ours are too. I did not check with Joplin because theirs is rather large. They have lots of different categories.
Remove some too, right?
Yeah, I think I removed some too, if I remember right.
Buggy whip or something.
Ice, I think the one I remember is an ice dealer.
Yeah, the
Or
ice,
it's an ice wholesaler.
ice wholesaler.
Yeah.
That's been on there for quite a few years.
Yep. And it still had things like job truck. most people probably don't even know what a jock truck is. You know, so.
Any further discussion?
Code nuisance met on this and recommends approval as well.
Very good.
Make a motion, we put it on second read by title only.
Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Holly Levine to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Carl Junction, Missouri by amending Title VI, Business and Occupation, Chapter 605, Business and Occupation Tax by amending Section 605.080, Schedule of License Fees and Classification of Occupations.
Any further discussion?
Move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Bob McAfee, to put this ordinance on final passage. It's a hand vote to go to electronic voting. Complete with all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. The ordinance is approved, and that is ordinance.
2305.
Thank you. Next is an ordinance amending Chapter 405 zoning regulations and Chapter 610 miscellaneous business regulations. We just had that public hearing on.
Move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Roger Spencer to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title 4 Land Use, Chapter 405 Zoning Regulations, Section 405.010 Definitions, and Section 405.040 Use Regulations, and amending Title 6 Business and Occupation, Title Chapter 610 Miscellaneous Business Regulations by adding new Article 7 Marijuana Facilities, Section 610.280 to 610.295 to adopt zoning and business regulations governing marijuana facilities.
Discussion?
As you go through this, you can see that a lot of this is brand new. What this was taken from was MML and somebody else, Creve Corps, maybe? I forget what it was. No, that's the public one.
That's the other one,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so it's all new. And this has all come about because of the amendment in authorizing recreational marijuana. So we wanted to be prepared for that if something other does happen. The changes in 610 are where the fees are at, what they would have to pay for business licenses. A couple of places in here, it says that, I want to point out, a facility has to be licensed by the state of Missouri, and they have to meet all of those regulations as laid out in what that amendment was that was voted on in November.
Any further discussion? Rick?
We met on this as well and recommend approval.
I move we put this ordinance on second reading by title only.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Holly Levine to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending Title 4 Land Use, Chapter 405 Zoning Regulations, Section 405.010 Definitions, and Section 405.040 Use Regulations, and amending Title 6 Business and Occupation, Chapter 610 Miscellaneous Business Regulations by adding new Article 7 Marijuana Facilities, Section 610.280 to 610.295 to adopt zoning and business regulations governing marijuana facilities.
Any further discussion?
Make a motion, we move this forward.
Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Don Allen to move this motion forward. It's a hand vote to go to electronic voting. Please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. That ordinance also passes. That is,
2306.
thank you. This is another ordinance amending Chapter 610 miscellaneous business regulations.
I move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Donna Allen, second by Holly Levine to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Carl Junction, Missouri by amending Title 6 Business and Occupation, Chapter 610 miscellaneous business regulations by amending Article 6 home occupations, by repealing existing sections 610.230 to 610.270 and enacting new sections 610.230 to 610.260 to comply with state mandated changes in regulating no impact home-based businesses.
Discussion.
In August of last year, a new state statute came into effect regulating and deregulating home occupations. Home occupations, they separated into two different categories, either a non-impact or an impact-based. What this does is lays out those two things and states that a home-based business that would make an impact still has to have a business license. A no-impact home-based business has to meet several requirements before it can be deemed a no-impact business, and so it lays those out also.
We were at Jeff City last week. They were working on changing it again because it's not very clear, as we found out when we read it.
Yeah,
So I think they're gonna fix it to make it a little bit more, so we may have to go back next year
we
and
might
change it
at
again.
the end of the year, because stuff comes in effect in August unless they put an emergency clause in it. We'll have to go back and make sure we catch up with it and get it changed to recognize it.
Any further discussion? Rick?
We met on this one as well and recommend approval.
I move we put this ordinance on second reading by title only.
Second. Motion by Don Allen, second by Bob McAfee, put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Carl Junction, Missouri by amending Title 6 Business and Occupation, Chapter 610 Miscellaneous Business Regulations, by amending Article 6 Home Occupations, by repealing existing sections 610.230 to 610.270 and enacting new sections 610.230 to 610.260 to comply with state mandated changes in regulating no impact home-based businesses.
Any further discussion?
Move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Jim Gossett, to put this ordinance on final passage. This is a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. The ordinance passes, and that is ordinance number.
2307.
Thank you. Next is an ordinance approving 2 agreements with MoDOT for Route Z Pinell Sidewalk Project from Dean Road to Arlington Drive.
Move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn, to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving 2 agreements between the City of Carl Junction and Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission in connection with sidewalk improvements to be constructed along the north side of Route Z/Pinell Street from Dean Road to Arlington Drive, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreements for and on behalf of the City of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Discussion?
This is for Phase 6, the new one that we just got, which is from Dean down to Arlington. There is, like it says, there's 2 agreements in here. One is the Transportation Enhancement Funds Program Agreement, and the other one is what they call a sidewalk agreement. MoDOT changes on us occasionally, and this is new, having 2 of them like this. It used to be that the sidewalk agreement was part of the paperwork that I signed all the time for all the others. They just included it now and want more authority behind it. They want the board's authority behind it instead of just my signature.
Any further discussion?
I move we put this ordinance
Well,
on
I
second
have a
reading.
question.
Oh,
Sorry.
you have a question?
Go ahead, Rick.
You know how the section that's already done, it's got that kind of buffer zone or whatever? You know, it's not a bike lane or whatever. Is that, it'll be look the same all the way down?
This one will actually move the sidewalk in some more away from the road, because the right of way gets quite wide through that curve. I remember right, that's 100-foot wide right of way instead of some of this up in here, which is considerably narrower.
Code review, look at it.
Yes, we did. And we recommend approval of this as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Move we put this on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Roger Spencer to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving two agreements between the City of Carl Junction and Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission in connection with sidewalk improvements to be constructed along the north side of Route Z/Pennell Street from Dean Road to Arlington Drive, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreements for and on behalf of the City of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Any further discussion?
Move we put this on final passage.
Motion by Rick Flynn, second by Bob McAfee to put this ordinance on final passage. This is a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically. 6 in the affirmative, 2 absent. That ordinance passes. Mayor's ordinance.
2308.
Thank you. Finally, there's an ordinance approving an agreement with Jeff Asbill Excavating and Trucking Incorporated for the Deerfield Lift Station Screening Structure.
Move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance approving an agreement between the City of Carl Junction, Missouri and Jeff Asbell Excavation and Trucking Incorporated to complete the Deerfield Lift Station Screening Structure Project for the City of Carl Junction, Missouri in accordance with the contract documents for the sum of $45,258.57, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement for and on behalf of the City of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Discussion?
I believe last meeting, you guys approved the contract, and so this is the contract to go along with it. And they are ready to start right away.
Yep, immediately. Any further discussion?
Make a motion, we put this on second reading by title only.
Have the ordinance.
Yes, we met on this one as well and recommend approval.
Okay.
Met on a
Oh,
contract.
no, that's what we did. Sorry.
No, we did
That
not.
was a trick question.
That's the other one. Sorry. I do know what I'm doing sometimes. Tell the mayor to.
Oh. Okay, did we have a motion for a second reading?
Yes.
Just the first one.
I second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Don Allen to put this ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance approving an agreement between the City of Carl Junction, Missouri and Jeff Asbell Excavation and Trucking Incorporated to complete the Deerfield Lift Station Screening Structure Project for the City of Carl Junction, Missouri in accordance with the contract documents for the sum of $45,258.57, providing the terms and conditions thereof, and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement for and on behalf of the City of Carl Junction, Missouri.
Any further discussion? Rick?
No, sir.
I move we put this on final passage.
Second.
Motion by Don Allen, second by Rick Flynn to put this ordinance on final passage. It's a hand vote to go to electronic voting. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, 2 absent. Please vote electronically. 6 in favor, 2 absent. The ordinance passes. That is ordinance number.
2309.
Thank you. Moving right along, we're done with the ordinances. We are going to the administration report. Any comments for the city administrator?
An update on the server that we had go down. They were able to recover items off of the hard drive, so we'll be getting that data back, which is really good.
Good.
Also, I laid in front of you an individual sheet called, it's titled Carl Junction Community Center Code of Conduct and Liability Waiver. Item 6 on the report. We are proposing that kids under the age of 18 sign this, have their parents sign it so that we get contact information from parents. And the code of conduct on it was actually taken from the school district, and it's the code of conduct that children and parents sign every year for the school system. So it is nothing new as far as what, they've seen it before and they know about it. Parents have to sign it. It also has the liability waiver on there. The amount of kids that we have coming in here, we need to make sure that we're getting these in case something does happen. We have had instances of people catching an elbow while they're playing basketball and had a split lip and split an eyebrow, and we have to make sure that that's handled correctly. We also want to make sure that we're covered on the liability side of that type of thing. In the past, they have never signed these, which is a failure on our part. We should have. Our insurance company requires that we get these from people that participate in activities up here. The code of conduct is an attempt to give the kids some standards so that we are not babysitters up here. We don't profess to be or anything, and so the kids that come up here, we have to make sure are behaving and they're taking care of the facility, and not always are they doing that. So we want to make sure that they're aware of it and that their parents are aware of it. And we want that contact information too, so that if something does happen, we can get a hold of a parent or guardian.
Just so this is in the record, this is an attempt to limit responsibility. But one of the key phrases in here is to the fullest extent permitted by law. In fact, if a minor is injured and it's a result of negligence by some other party, the courts are going to determine what can be waived and what can't be waived. This is not an absolute protection of the city. There is still exposure if the city is responsible for those injuries. Just want you to understand that's all.
You talked to BYA.
I
think you better give this to them so that all their coaches can have all their kids like basketball.
Yep.
When they come in here, because if they don't, can you imagine the first day of basketball? Having to have everybody sign that to try and play?
Yeah, we will get copies of it. Our intent is that we will take this and we will get it up to the school system. We'll get it up to the junior high and high school. That's predominantly what we get in is 7th grade and up. There's probably some 6th graders too, but we'll get it, and that way the school system can help us
Well,
get it.
I mean, BYA has
Yeah,
young
BYAA
kids. Yeah.
also, so that
There's in the bullet points, fourth one down, it says, I will care for my property and school property. City.
there is a tip.
Yep. Do you want to say community center property?
City property.
City property. It's just going to be a vote, Mr. Talley?
Oh, I think you want endorsement by the council on this, do you?
But yeah, I mean, we don't need an ordinance or anything.
Don't need an
Put it in our
ordinance.
code or
This is
anything.
just procedure
Okay.
in community center, and ordinarily we don't do that in ordinance.
I think just a motion and
Okay.
I make a motion, we accept this as amended.
Second.
Motion by Rick Flans, second by LaDonna Allen, to approve the Carl Junction Community Center Code of Conduct and Liability Waiver. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in favor for 2 absent. It is approved.
that's the only thing I had on the administration report. If you had any other questions.
I've got a question.
Yeah, Bob.
I think that's great for the community center, but should we do that for the ball field too, and the soccer field?
Probably so, for like down at Frank Dean during ball season, we
Well-
need to make sure that,
Or could we?
It just says code of conduct of the community center, but it does say I will care for my property, city property. I don't know.
we could change the title of it to, City of Carl Council instead of Community Center. I mean, that's just in the title.
Facilities.
I mean, the
Water
soccer,
park.
I don't know, I just was.
the soccer down in Lakeside and the baseball fields, BYA.
Water park, playground equipment.
I'd say just all city property.
I, again, want to remind you, this is not full
Yeah,
proof
I know.
protection for the city.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing
Yeah,
The thing is, it's gonna be a lot easier to control, like just for the community center, because you have somebody out here at the desk. If we do it for all the facilities, nobody's gonna be down at the
I mean,
park checking.
yeah, it wouldn't, yeah, somebody goes out and play on the playground equipment.
Yeah, but this way
They
they
could
have
be
to walk
Gerard.
past the person.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else from the city administrator? Then we'll move right along with the treasurer's report. Any comments about the treasurer's report? If not, we'll move on to the department reports. PD. Anything for the PD?
On number 2, is that residence owned by somebody or is it rented?
What?
On number 2, on your,
That a couple weeks ago, I don't remember what that one is.
Is that
Copper Oaks.
Jacob Egg,
Jacob Day?
is that an owned or a rental property?
That is part of the residential care facility property out there. And my understanding is that they have an eviction notice on that person at this time. The actual resident who is supposed to be living there had numerous guests, and it was not in her bedroom, the owner's bedroom, it was in another bedroom. But they have decided to evict the resident and her friends.
Anything else for PD?
make it up?
No, you can't make it up, that's true. Okay, next we'll go along with Public Works. Anything for Jay? You sitting back there, you got enough time grilling. We talked about a lot of stuff yesterday, we got a lot of work for you now. Very well then. Move along to committee reports. I believe first one is budget and finance.
Well, all right. We have spent the last month and a half in budget work sessions, going over everything. Everybody should have a copy, most recent copy of the working budget. If you will take time to look over that, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns or anything that we can discuss next time. I will tell you just some quick numbers as we finished up the budget. General fund, we are budgeting for 1.5 million in revenues, 1.5 million in expenses. PD, we were able to hold that at 1.3 million again, so we're gonna be funding the police at 1.3 million in revenue and expenses. And I'll get to a couple of other things on that here in just a minute. As far as the streets, we are projecting taking in 482,000 in revenue, 481,000 in expenses. Waterworks, 1.7 million in revenue. We are budgeting 1.5 million in expenses. That gives us a little cushion because a lot of times you can't really predict water sales depending on what the season is. So we've got a little cushion in there. And wastewater treatment plant, 1.1 million in revenue and 1.1 million in expenses. Also, you should have the latest of the ARPA funds and what's available. We are showing to purchase a police car out of ARPA funds and $14,000 in repairs. We were actually, by doing that, we were actually able to go ahead and staff, put in funding for an open position at a patrolman's rate. So hopefully get their numbers out. One other change you will note to the ARPA budget, the mayor asked, he asked that we remove half of the money that we had planned in there originally for some electric signage. The remaining, he has asked that we put on a low priority list till we see how things are going. This was brought up at our budget workshop the other day. He suggested we do that, and that way we can address some issues at Country Club Estates Park with the soccer field and some of the issues we have. So you will note that change in there. And if anybody has any other questions, if you'll get back to us before we have to consider it for vote, that leaves us about 233,000 in ARPA right now that we haven't appropriated. And we will get some bids in. Steve's going to be working on getting some bids and contracts in on some of these projects that we're looking at funding through ARPA. Other than that, this is just a working copy. So if anybody sees changes that need made or anything we overlooked, and then we will present, well, it's next week, isn't it? We will present the budget at the first meeting in March. You guys can consider it, and we'll vote on it in the second meeting, so it'll be in time before April 1st deadline.
We have until what? 2026 to spend the money, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions with Don? Very good. Thank you, Don. Code and nuisance, Rick.
Nothing new at this time.
Alrighty, human resources, Roger.
Yes, we have a closed session coming up here later.
Okay. Personnel.
Yes.
Okay. Public facilities and planning, Rick isn't here. Jim, you got anything on that?
No, sir.
Alrighty.
Mike,
Oh, what did I say?
Rick,
Oh, Mike isn't here.
he's just close to your heart.
Yeah, I know. Okay, then, I don't see Roger here for senior citizens, so I guess we don't have anything on the senior citizens. Richard?
On here.
It's hot in here.
It is hot. It's really hot up here.
Okay, well, we'll just move on into unfinished business. Yeah,
Yes. Do you have any kind of an update on the strengthening the lanes, ball field?
We have a bid opening tomorrow for somebody to put it in.
Just
So
a
we'll
wedding.
have that recommendation for you then on
landing on the ball fields.
Brittany.
And the other thing I had was I was gonna review the prohibiting the use of marijuana in any public area in the city in an ordinance. I know you gave me the one from with Creve Coeur.
I got one from Mr. Talley this afternoon.
Okay.
And I've got something I want to add to that, but we've got it drawn up to bring to you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Donna?
Nothing unfinished.
I have nothing unfinished.
Nothing.
Rick?
Was that something, what you just brought up, that we'll need to meet on
Yes, we will.
next week? Code nuisance.
But it's gonna be close.
I haven't had discussion on the second part of it that I want to add on to it yet, so I don't know if I will. I'll let you know.
That's all.
Bob,
I have nothing.
Holly?
Is the ordinance for the water meter installation, is that going on next week?
Oh, the fees for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that we had in the meeting, and
Or is that of the new-
trying to figure out the wording on that for under the street stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit challenging to do that.
That's all for me.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Talley?
Nothing.
Lena?
No, sir.
Crystal? Steve?
No, sir.
Mark? Oh.
Just kidding. April 13th, another reminder is the chamber banquet. It's at the Cornell Complex. If anybody wants to go, let me know so we can get tickets ordered.
I'll probably go.
Okay?
Where's the Cornell complex?
The new building right downtown across the street from the new courts building now on Joplin Street.
Oh, okay.
The art building?
The arts building?
Yeah, the arts building. You gonna go? You've got to go, don't you?
Well, they haven't asked yet, but usually.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's always been some.
I haven't decided yet.
Okay,
Neither have I.
okay. Just let me know.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Mark?
The LAST board met February 7th on Tuesday, last council meeting. It was with all the area agencies. We requested about 51,000 over what they had in the budget on the LAST grant tax. We all worked together and got it down to where the LAST board recommended approving what we got it down to. Just got the official paperwork today. We're awarded just over $32,000 for equipment. I will have that in the next department meeting report next week, where I'll have it broke down what it's going to.
Good. I like it. Anything else? Any questions?
No.
Jay?
Yes.
Anything for Jay? Compliments or anything?
Good job, Jay.
Good job.
Very well then. We'll move on to new business. Holly?
No, sir.
Bob?
Yes.
Rick?
Just from the meeting that we went to in Jeff City, one thing I was going to talk about, we got to meet the senator, we got to meet, well, we didn't get to see Bob Brunt, he was running around the building, I guess. But one of the presenters there, like the last day, was the Department of Transportation talking about highway safety. And there was a slide that came up that I thought was pretty interesting. In 2022 marked the third consecutive year of increasing roadway fatalities in Missouri. That's the second consecutive year with 1,000 plus fatalities. There are 3 people killed each day on Missouri roads, and 2 of the 3 killed are not wearing seatbelts. So they are initiating a national campaign called Buckle Up and Phone Down. So I just wanted to, those statistics kind of scared me in the sense that I definitely made sure we were buckled up and had my phone down on the way home. But just being aware of it, and especially when we got some young folks in the crowd, but in general, buckle up, keep your phones down, be safe. 2 out of 3 people didn't have their seatbelts on.
Yep.
That's an easy fix. That's all I have.
Thank you, Rick. Roger?
Nothing.
I have nothing. I know you do, Lana.
Yeah, under new business, I laid a copy of this nomination letter in front of everybody, if you had a chance to look it over. I've been talking with the Lieutenant Governor's office and will probably transmit it over this evening. But it is, when we were talking with Senator Carter, she brought up the fact that they're doing the Senior Service Awards for Missouri, asked if we had anybody who would like to nominate. Talked with the fire department, and I've done this letter to nominate Claire Utes as a outstanding senior from Carl Junction for his service through his ministry, through Helping Hands, and through the fire district. So if you all have a chance to look over that, I will go ahead and send that over. A couple of things for people who may not know Claire. He served He was 48 years in the ministry. He has volunteered with the fire department since 1995. He is 85 years old, and up to about 6 or 8 years ago, he was still actively fighting fires. But now he continues to serve as the chaplain, goes in and prays over the firefighters and their families. He's married several of the firefighters. He's baptized their children. He's been there when they were struggling with some post-traumatic stuff and everything. And like I say, he's also volunteered at Helping Hands, and he was a member of the Air National Guard. So I think we all owe Claire a big
Should we
big
vote
thank
on this?
Is the board nominating him or are you nominating?
It's just on
just-
behalf of the
They
city.
just ask us if we know of anybody and to send a letter in. Got it? No,
It never hurts to vote, if that's what you.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Never hurts to vote. That should be our slogan.
So you said he married several people, didn't get divorced on them first?
He performed several marriages.
I didn't know.
He performed several marriages. But
I think we ought to have a vote on it. Because I think the city should back this.
and regardless of the outcome, maybe it would be nice if he doesn't get picked for a state award that we recognize him then
That's
later.
exactly right.
So,
Yep.
Motion, we nominate Claire for the Senior Citizen of the Year. or Public Service.
I'll second that.
Motion by Rick Glenn, second by Rich Spencer. In the nomination of Claire Baldwin, Senior of Carl Junction, the outstanding senior citizen in the area.
yes.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, 2 absent. Send it off.
All right. Gonzo.
Anything else? Ladonna?
No, sir, that's all I have.
No, sir.
Nothing, Jim? Mr. Tally, new business? Lana? Crystal?
No, sir.
I was gonna skip over you.
Yeah.
Mark? Yes. Okay, Jake, all right. Next is closed session for revising your statute 610-021-3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded. Before we take a minute, thank you all for coming. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, this will be a roll call vote. I guess we have to have
I
a
move
first
motion.
and a second.
We're
Make a
just,
motion, we go into closed session.
I know they tip off in 7 minutes.
I know, I second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by Donna Allen to go into closed session. This will be a roll call vote. The clerk, please call the roll.
Me? Yes. Rick Flynn,
Yes.
Mike Burns, Mark Satterley, Bob McAfee,
Yes.
Jim Dozy,
Yes.
Roger Spencer.
Yes.
Ladonna.
Yes.
By a vote of 6-0, we are now in closed session.
Oh, we're
Is it
still
all
on.
right?